like having a united front from the North Country would be beneficial. The question asks, why are our representatives from the Senate and Assembly not working together on this issue? But I might say, are you?
Well, we're working on the issue, but we exist in two different houses of the legislature where there are different political realities. You know, I can count on support from members from New York City, which is a large contingent from the New York State Assembly. I can count on support from representatives from the big 5 school districts. I know that I can count on the supermajority in the Assembly to be sympathetic. I mean, we have very animated discussions about backing away from the commitments made based on the campaign for fiscal equity. It is something that is very near and dear to us in the Assembly, and I am another strong voice that represents a dynamic that frankly is underrepresented in the Democratic Conference. You know, I'm the only Democrat north of the Thruway, and so, but the fact of the matter is I'm part of a huge coalition in the Assembly majority that feels this is one of the primary issues we need to be focused on. You know, we fight for more funding in education year after year, but long-standing backroom deals have sliced up the education funding, like Assemblyman Butler said, to drive it to areas based on politics, not based on need. So I'm also working with a statewide coalition of educational organizations. I am working with the people that are pushing the campaign for fiscal equity. I gave the PowerPoint from my meeting here in Canton to the lead attorney when I attended the rally a couple of weeks ago in Albany. I walked it right over, spoke with her, and handed it right to her, and I said, you need anybody from Canton, they will be there for you, because this is the community's top priority, and it's my top priority. I'm working with the Small City School District Association. I've spoken in Rochester to their statewide meetings. I have attended their meetings that they have in Albany and talked about this issue. I work very closely with the Alliance for Quality Education, which I believe most of the folks here in this community are working with. So I'm working with statewide coalitions. I am working with the 2 legal teams that are advancing the 2 major cases in this state. And we are also working with national experts in school aid formulas. We work with folks out of Rutgers and out of SU and some of the top financial people that work in think tanks in Albany. And so those are the people that I am working with. And like I said, you know, we exist in different political climates. We don't have a majority of members of the Democratic Conference in the Assembly from the suburbs. So, you know, we have some that are affected, but not to the extent that I believe it's an issue in the Senate.
Just to add quickly, I think the point is well taken, and there are many regions in the state that do have caucuses. They're bipartisan. They have representatives from both houses. They have formal events. They go to dinners. They talk about issues. We never in the North Country seem to have been able to really to do that, and perhaps it's because of the great distance between us, but it may very well be time to explore that possibility, because I think it can be an effective way to get things done in Albany, to have that kind of united effort.
And I guess I would just add that the bill that I put in was generated from comments from superintendents and school board members across the district that I represent, along with the School Board Association and Alliance for Education. And so the bill was put in a practical way at a time when the state has no money, to try and drive more money, not to New York City, but to rural upstate schools. Now, if the Assemblywoman can, with her supermajority this year, because it didn't pass last year, if she can get her bill passed this year in the Assembly, then at that point I would certainly be looking to try and sponsor that in the Senate and push that bill forward. But in the meantime, tried to come up with a practical approach with a price tag that's attached to it. So if it does pass, then there's a decent chance that the governor is going to sign the bill, not veto it in a time when the state really has no money. But the Assemblywoman's put time into her bill. If she can get it passed in the Assembly, and that's the way that, you know, she can get that done, then I would be supportive of trying to sponsor that and get it pushed through the Senate.
I just want to point out that our goal here is not to have either of these bills passed. The goal is for this language to be included in the budget. So talking about getting bills passed, once the budget is passed, these bills are not going to see the light of day. They are either going to die in committee or they will be passed for political purposes, but any bill that is passed after the budget is going to be vetoed by the governor, no doubt about it. That is what he has done since he took office. If it is a financial issue that is dealt with outside of the budget, no matter if you make it take effect in the following budget year, he is going to veto it. He is doing that customarily. So I don't want you all to think that we go through this budget process and we don't see the reforms, that we're going to come in and save everybody in the last week of session in June and make it all right. That is not really the reality of Albany. The reality of Albany is if you have something to do with finances, especially one of the two largest areas of our budget, we are not holding out hope that our houses are going to be able to pass a bill. If it's not done by the April 1st budget deadline and included in the budget, it is nothing but a political charade. So I don't think we should be talking in terms of getting it out of committee and passing the bill unless we're doing it in the next 2 months. What this is done, this is dealt with by the governor and his budget team and our leadership in both houses when they negotiate the final bill, or the final budget.
Then I would just like to add that I have a copy of the letter that I drafted with 14 of the upstate senators asking Governor Cuomo last year to look at the plight of the rural upstate schools, and that's something that we're drafting and sending again. And last year when the governor's budget came out, it was the Senate budget that drove more money to the upstate schools here in this area, not the Assembly's budget, it was the Senate's budget.